It's May 16th, 2021, and welcome to episode 58 of the BABYMETAL podcast. We gather in the podcast Discord server on alternate weeks to discuss news and thoughts on the past and future projects of BABYMETAL. We invite you to join us, whether you're a longtime fan or have only just arrived. I am Paul, and I am joined by Kevin.
Hey, welcome back, everybody.
And Maggie.
Greetings and salutations.
All right, so we're back. In real time, we're recording actually just about a week from the last time we recorded, but we're continuing our plan to go through some of the recently translated interviews that we have. Last time we got through primarily interviews with Kobametal. This time we have some interviews so we're going to go through, these are Sumetal and Moametal interviews. We're going to go through the two that were in Hedoban 28 from January 2021. And if we have time, the one from January 2021 in Young Guitar. And surely that's going to take all the time.
Yeah.
So there are actually a number of other ones that are recently available and soon to be available. But those will be next time, almost certainly.
Mm-hmm.
There is one piece of news I have before we dive into interviews.
Mm-hmm. Oh, there is?
There is.
Okay. What is the news?
It's Maggie's birthday. Happy birthday, Maggie.
Oh, snap. Hi.
Oh,
thanks.
nice.
Yes, it is.
Happy birthday.
Oh, crap. I forgot. I didn't forget. I knew, but yeah. Thanks. I appreciate it. Thanks.
So everybody wish Maggie happy birthday.
Yes, right. Thanks. Woo.
Yes. Excellent.
One more lap around the sun.
Yep, one more for good measure.
Congratulations on surviving one more year.
Yes! I have survived. That's what it feels like.
Yeah, seriously.
All right. So, apart from that, though, I guess there really hasn't been, nothing new has happened in the last 8 days or whatever it's been. So,
no.
We're still waiting for the live stream and the WoW broadcasts and so forth. But okay, so I guess we can maybe just start in. So I'll just say a quick thing about the things we're going to talk about. So the January 2021 Hedoban 28 issue has a number of things in it, but the specific things we'll talk about this time are interviews with Sumetal and Moametal individually. The interviewer for this was the editor-in-chief of Hedoban, Yuki Umezawa, and the translations that we have are from Funny Toss and Capable Paramedic. And actually, each of these, maybe it's worth saying just at the outset, each of these start out with this sort of big headline that says, in translation, it says, "This is the manifestation of our burning metal spirit. This is our," and then for the Sumetal one, it says, "This is our Sumetal," and for the Moametal one, it says, "This is our Moametal." And that's actually the line. It's like essentially the last lines of Road of Resistance, where the translation is, "This is our resistance." But instead they swapped in Sumetal and Moametal. It's kind of cute.
Ain't that adorable?
And so we were planning on doing the same kind of thing we did last time, where we kind of go around and just talk about highlights, things not necessarily in order that they appeared in these interviews. So, okay, who wants to pick the first one?
Well, then I will go ahead and at least pick the first one then, because they're both kind of relate to both Sue and Moa, is the fact, because they both mentioned it very early in their interviews, is that they both do not listen to any of their studio tracks. The only thing they actually listen to is their live stuff, which pretty professional, I think.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty interesting. Yeah.
I thought that was really interesting, yeah. They've been going back to listening to some of the studio stuff, and they're just like, oh, okay, well, this is how this sounded. Everyone sounds so young and da-da-da. And I guess Sue had mentioned that she's like, I didn't really notice a change in my voice until the other day, like a few days before the interview happened. I'm like, I mean, yes, I guess. And then Moa kind of said the same thing. She's like, oh, we're kind of young. We sound young. Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. I wish the interviewer actually kind of was able to go deeper on that subject. I share that point of view. I basically only listen to the live, or I prefer listening to the live recordings over the studio tracks.
It really depends on what song it is.
Yeah, that for sure. But I really would like to know why they prefer their live. Mostly to see if it jives with why I prefer the live.
for Sue, I would think it would maybe be the way that she presents certain things at certain times. Maybe she heard herself do something and she wants to maybe see about incorporating that into how she does things. Because I know she's always kind of on top of that for herself. So, I mean, that's obviously an assumption.
Yeah.
But it seems like a pretty good assumption, at least.
Yeah, I did think that was pretty funny that, they're just like us in a way. Like they also are sort of surprised to go back and listen to the studio versions and how young everybody sounds. And Mo mentioned actually that she thought it sounded actually kind of lower energy than she remembered.
Yeah.
Oh, I missed that one. I missed that note.
Yeah. Yeah, Ma said she's pretty sure Sue Metal also doesn't listen to the CDs.
Oh, I did see that. Yeah.
which was correct. It was actually kind of funny. These you can tell obviously the sequence that these were done in. They did the Sue Metal interview first, and then they did the Moametal one. At least, and for the first like 5 or so questions or whatever, Ma said all the same answers, basically as Sue. At some point the interviewer remarked, like this you're saying all the exact same stuff.
Yeah. It would make more sense, and also I guess maybe more of a psychological thing too, because that way you're not trying to sound exactly like. I mean, I guess they have mentioned in the past that they kind of want to sound a little bit more like what the studio versions sound like, but keep it fresh at the same time. So I guess maybe give a false sense of like, oh, we got to sound super perfect, maybe, and that's a way of not doing it, I guess, is sound to the studio. Whereas the live, of course, your voice is always going to be different, no matter how hard you try. That's just my thought.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Kobo had said that that he sort of felt like at least with the instruments there was kind of a right answer, and it had to be like that. But yeah, it is also sort of interesting that we were talking last time about how these albums are constructed in a way that an actual human may not necessarily be able to perform them, and then nobody listens to it. Everybody listens to the humans trying to perform the impossible stuff.
Right.
Yeah, there was another thing, and it's maybe somewhat related. One of the very first things that Sue said was that she felt like the remastered tracks, as opposed to the original versions, kind of allowed the band to be heard more clearly. Like she said, it sounded like the original tracks were running through some sort of a filter, like a muffling filter.
Yeah.
And
and
it is, that's true.
Yeah, it is.
Everything was cranked up way too loud. But it's interesting that she also just noticed that.
Yeah, I did actually try to go through like different songs because I have like up teen million copies of Doki Doki Morning now and up teen copies of Ine and all this other stuff, and give them a listen one after the other in of course in the same audio setup or whatever. And there is a little bit of a difference with the new album. It's just it's a little bit better. It's a little bit better. So it's like, that's actually kind of cool. Like, I don't know. What do they call those? Audio? Is it called an audio file?
Audio file.
No.
Yeah.
Audio file.
Yes.
Yeah. As opposed to an audiophobe.
Yeah. I hate sound. Sounds so awful.
Sound. I fear sound. Yeah. But
Man, what an existence that would be. Could you imagine?
That would suck.
It is true though that I did feel like I could pick stuff out better. It's strange because when you listen to the remastered one and then go back and listen to the original one, you can still find the new stuff that you noticed in the original, but it didn't stand out in a way. Like they are really close, but yet I still feel like the newer one is more open.
Yeah, the original album and all of the original concert DVDs and Blu-rays are mixed very poorly. Compared, especially when you have this as reference on what it could have sounded like.
Yeah.
It's like, Kobe did this in GarageBand on a weekend and sent the masters off to get printed.
Yeah, right. And had to add some sort of extension that allowed all the sliders to go up to 11.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, I think I remember noticing that the old Budokan, like Red and Black Knights, sounded pretty good. Like the audio on those sounded a lot clearer than many of the other things did. And I vaguely remember that actually the same person may have been involved in doing the audio for that.
I actually just watched Budokan Black Knight yesterday in my living room, and I got to disagree. I don't think it's mixed all that well. I think it's an improvement, but I still don't think it's very good, particularly in the lows. I consider myself a novice audiophile, so I have kind of the entry-level nice audio stuff set up in my living room for this kind of thing. And it does not hit the low end of anything really at all. It's mixed very high.
I wonder if there's a difference between so it would be weird if there were, but I wonder if there's a difference between the Blu-ray and the CD, because I mean, like, basically what I was listening to was the actual CDs.
Oh, could be.
There have been differences in between the video and the CD. Like something I did notice though with Legend Metal Galaxy, the CD is just I don't like it. I don't like it at all.
Oh, really?
Because like I said, I know not very much of anything about that sort of thing, and like you can tell like the sound quality is different from track to track. It's bad. It's not good at all. I'm pretty sure it's Legend Metal Galaxy. I'm pretty sure it's that one. Either
Really?
that or it was the forum. It might have been. It was one of the two recent ones, because that's the only two collector's thingies that I have that have the CDs in them.
Right.
So it had to be one of those two. But from track to track, you could tell like the sound like quality is lower in some and better in others.
Yeah. My sort of impressionistic recollection is that the forum audio was pretty good, actually. So you must be remembering it right, or at least like your impression must be right, because I doubt you would have thought that it was the forum that was bad.
Well, there wasn't an audio only release of the forum, was there?
No, not an audio only, but in the one version, it had the CDs
The CD.
included. Yeah.
Right. You know what? I don't think I've ever listened to the CD from that.
Oh, well.
I'm not sure. I must. That must be what I'm listening to when I listen to it. Because I doubt I would have gone to the trouble to segment up the Blu-ray audio. So
yeah, because all the like the one editions here recently has been coming with CDs since, well, I think Legend S actually. I think that was the first one that had an audio CD included. I'm pretty sure.
The Budokan. I mean the Budokan.
The Budokan.
That was one thing I did not have. Nor will I probably ever own, but it's perfectly fine by me. I didn't go to that show, so.
I didn't even bother ripping the forum audio.
Oh, yeah.
So it's buried in a box somewhere.
Yeah.
But I think it's pretty good, actually.
Okay.
But you can't, I mean, it doesn't have the feature of seeing, podcast members' faces in it and stuff.
True.
I was gonna say you didn't even see my face in the video at all. You could see like a glitter mask, sort of, kind of on the edge of certain screens, but that's about it.
Yeah, I think I found I found a little like couple of pixels that were me. I think somewhere at some point.
Yeah,
Callie's pretty visible.
Callie's very visible. Yes.
But actually, that whole thing is like the Nemo show.
Yeah,
because he was like right in front of the fan camera. Anyway, okay. I feel like I've gotten lost here. What were we doing? I guess we were talking about the interviews.
We're talking about the interviews. Oh boy, are you okay today, Paul?
Yeah. No,
all right.
Let's see. Okay. I will pick the question that had to do with they asked Sue what country had made the biggest impression on her. She thought about it for a bit, and then her reaction was Mexico. So the Hedoban editor-in-chief was there and said, I was there too. It was like cheering at a soccer match. Yes, so Sue said, yes, it's interesting to see how they brought a unique groove to the show. BABYMETAL's live show often derives something special from the performances abroad, but Mexico was unique, and then laughs. What I found most interesting was how everyone was so free. They were so free that I wondered if they were even listening to the songs. So apparently, everyone was very hyped up. They were all so relaxed. Some were so relaxed that it seemed like they were listening to a ballad. Others, were just energetically air drumming, and some weren't even facing the stage. And Sue felt like, this is just utter chaos. Like nobody, like what is happening? How can I bring order to this? But eventually just came to be at peace with this. I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what you kind of pick up when you go to different countries and stuff too, is that everyone kind of reacts to things differently, and it varies from country to country. It really does. So that's kind of cool to hear that, though.
Yeah.
Way to go, Mexico. Way to go.
Being remembered, yeah.
And they've never been back.
I know, that's a shame.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe someday. I've got another one here too. Actually, it kind of deals with both of them. What was their favorite songs that were not on the best of? Uh-huh. And what kind of struck me was Sue actually liked Anadari.
Yeah.
I was just like, wait, really?
That was a weird choice.
This is a very odd choice. I was just, she's just like, the choreography was really cute, and the words kind of had like a harsh cuteness to them, or a very poignant something. I can't remember the exact wording she used, but it was I was just like, okay. I mean, everyone's got their thing. Mm-hmm. I mean, I love Anadari too, but I just never expected, I guess, Sue to pick that as a fave outside of the 10. So I thought that was amusing. But then going on to Moa's side, though, she liked Catch Me If You Can because of also the cuteness factor of it too. So I was just like, oh, okay, I mean, Catch Me If You Can is pretty fun and stuff. And so, I mean, so is Onodari, but I don't know. And the Onodari for Sue kind of took me back a little bit.
Yeah. The way I paraphrased it in my own notes was something that, she basically liked the contrast between the choreography and the sort of like the cuteness of the choreography, but then the sort of edge that's underneath the lyrics.
Yeah.
But yeah, Moa's reaction in that section was also pretty funny.
Oh,
she's like where was it? Well, essentially, she said "Catch Me If You Can," and then asked the interviewer like, "Well, what did Sue say?" And then was like quite shocked to hear that it was on a direct accent.
Exactly.
But she didn't. She stuck her ground and said, "Well, never mind." She briefly contemplated going with Akatsuki and then said, "Well, no, really, it's Catch Me If You Can."
Yeah.
Interesting answers that they're both off the first album. Given the how much they want to talk about moving forward, trying new things and more adult themes, their favorites, as we are told, are from the first album. I wonder how much nostalgia plays into that more than just I really like the fusion of cute and not cute.
Yeah. I can get that. I get I get that.
Though I mean, they were being pushed to, look back, right?
Mm-hmm.
So,
True.
So it's not really so much like what would you like to be doing, but of the things you have done, what did you like the most?
Right. I guess it's just interesting to me that none of that's recent stuff. It's all from the first album.
Sue thought it was impressive that Rammstein sang in German, even though they weren't in Germany, which is a little bit. It somewhat misses the mark because where they were not in Germany was in Austria.
Yeah, right. Kind of next door.
Oh well.
That's funny.
Nevertheless, it's an interesting sort of sentiment.
Yeah. I mean, I get where she was coming from with that. I mean, they do the same thing over here in the U.S.
Right,
too.
of course.
So yeah. I mean, you actually. I kind of appreciate you bringing that one up, actually, because and this is a semi rant, but not really. But I've tried to get my brother, who is a little younger than me, not by much, to listen to BABYMETAL, and he's just like, the music's really awesome, but I can't just can't get the singing. The singing, I can't do it. I can't do it. And I'm like, but you listen to Rammstein, yeah? So what's the difference? They're singing in a totally different language that you don't understand either, yet you're singing around, singing Du Hast all the time. It's like, I don't get it. I don't get it at all. So that's just, I don't know. It's kind of, yeah.
I think what that sounds to me like is that it's rationalization. It's like that we already know what the answer is supposed to be, and now we're trying to figure out like what it is that leads us to that answer. But so perhaps you are pointing out that it wasn't the right rationalization. There's some other reason.
Yeah, there's got to be something else. Yeah, exactly. But I mean, it's still really cool though that people, that. Well, I mean, I know that BABYMETAL had insisted on trying to do more stuff in Japanese because that's their culture, that's where they're from. Rammstein, I mean, I guess would be kind of the same. I guess would be the same way. I've never really read up a whole lot about them, to be honest. But their reasoning for sticking with just strictly singing in German. I've never seen any kind of like interviews and stuff like that with why they do it or whatever. But I mean, it's really cool though. I listen to them. I think it's awesome. It sounds really neat. Do I understand what they're saying? Hell no. I don't. But it's still really cool to listen to. The same kind of with BABYMETAL. Do I understand what they're saying? No, I don't. But I still listen to it because it sounds really cool. So I don't know. I guess it's just a perspective sort of thing, I guess.
Well, it's interesting. I mean, for both of these groups, but I mean, it is interesting. Like there is we have a different experience listening to Rammstein than the Austrians and Germans do.
True.
They may like it perfectly well for its own reasons or whatever, but it doesn't have the same. There's a sort of like an angle of exoticness or something. There's something that being in German adds to it to those who don't speak German. I can sort of see liking it almost just for being in German, by itself.
Yeah.
So I haven't. I'm sort of aware of the group. I know how to pronounce it, but otherwise, like I have heard almost nothing by them.
If you want to, their latest album, which is called just Rammstein, but it doesn't actually have the title on the CD, but it's a white CD with a little match on the front of it. I do recommend it. It is actually really good. I can listen to it from the beginning to the end, and actually it's really neat because it's like the way they have their songs ordered is in a story mode. So it kind of tells a story from beginning to end. But it's a really good listen. Anybody who's listening right now, go ahead and listen to Rammstein's new CD. It came out in 2019. There you go.
Good to know.
All right. So let's see. What's the next? Anyone have a?
Okay, I can do the next one. This one's strictly from Sue. And actually, I wrote this note down just for my own sake and sanity. They had asked what the best memory of a festival was for, I think, a overseas festival, and it was Download 16. Isn't that where Mop Chan came from? Was that that was the meme? Okay.
Yeah, that was the rain.
That was the rain.
It was raining very hard. I mean, like they were thinking of delaying. They were not quite sure if they were going to even do it. But there's a fairly famous shot of actually BABYMETAL actually out there like mopping the stage up.
Yes.
So.
Okay, and it ended up being called Mop Chan. So okay.
Yeah. Moametal.
Moametal. It was kind of funny because at Rock on the Range in 2018, right before BABYMETAL came on, there was a dude with a broom who was sweeping up the stage, and a lot of the fans were like, "Oh, this kind of reminds me of that," and so they all started cheering, "Sweep, sweep, sweep, sweep," and the guy was just kind of like taking it all in because he had to be like 20 something. He was really young, and he was just like, "Yeah," and then later on, he actually like popped the broom out of the stage, and we all cheered, and he took it off, and then he ran back with it on again. It came off. It was great.
Love it.
Cool.
It was fantastic.
So there was some discussion of Kingslayer. So Kingslayer, of course, is the collaboration with Bring Me the Horizon. And Sue was saying something about like, you know, she felt a little bit of anxiety about whether it would interfere with Bring Me the Horizon's world to enter it, which I thought was sort of interesting. Like considering it as if they have their own kind of like lore, essentially, right? And you know, they didn't want to sort of interrupt it.
Yeah.
So they were sort of pleased to be invited in, you know, and to work with it.
Mixing my Star Wars and my Star Trek.
Right, exactly. You got your Star Wars and my Star Trek. You got your Star Trek and my Star Wars.
ruining my metal cinematic universe.
Right.
Oh no! Oh no! It's all metal.
There was a funny thing that Moa said. Of course, as we've often said, you know, if you're looking for the comic parts, those will be in the Moametal interviews.
Yes.
But so there was Moa was sort of talking about the shifting responsibility. And you know, once they were down to 2, Moa says, I think Sue Metal was trying to make me take the lead in this area, the dance area. Now that there are 2 of us, Sue Metal needs to devote her attention to the most important part of the song. So that sort of implied that the dancing part was left to Moa Metal, and the interviewer probes implied. Moa Metal says, as an unsaid pressure, I suppose, and laughs, and like an unsaid understanding. I think she was giving me the chance and allowing me to take responsibility for it. Or maybe she just kind of did it without thinking deeply about it. The interviewer laughs. Moa says, actually, now that I think about it, that's quite likely.
Yeah.
It's kind of fun to just like watch the thought process evolve. You go,
Yeah.
well, yeah, maybe this really was just Sue not paying attention to anything.
Yeah. That sounds almost on point. Yeah, actually, kind of adding on to that though, was she, you know, having the responsibility kind of moving to her. She had mentioned about, you know, really focusing up on that after Legend S. And then of course, you know, having to, you know, realize that, you know, she's kind of almost the main focal point at this point, even with all the other dancers and stuff. And not only top of that, but she's now have to learn how to, you know, be a teacher. And then being the teacher, she's kind of have to realize, oh, you know, this and this and this about the choreography and stuff too. So she said, you know, it more prepared her to be a better dancer, and also, you know, focus a bit more on, you know, everybody else's style of dancing, but also it kind of puts a little bit more pressure. She said it kind of puts a little bit more pressure on her, because she's having to focus on making sure that, you know, she's doing everything along with the other person that she's dancing with, because she has to dance with multiple different people at multiple different times, minus this last year. But so it's been a little bit more exhausting in that regard. And which also brought up another point that she had mentioned, that she felt like super duper exhausted during the US tour, because they were doing shows almost like every other night or whatever. And because they were changing up the dancers every other night, I think it was Rio and Momoko. Yeah, I think they were the 2 who were on the tour at that time. I got to see Momoko, so that was cool. But you know, she's having to change up the way, and she's having to focus on that. And she's like, I felt really exhausted after all that. So good on her. That stuff's hard. It really is.
There's a very funny part that she stuck in there, though. Like, you know, she said, you know, especially during last year's U.S. tour, it was like we had shows every day, and the Avengers changed constantly too, and Sue Metal and I were exhausted. If it had been just me, I would have been tempted to just give up. But when I felt if I was tired, Sue Metal was tired too. If anything, she's 2 years older than me. She's probably even more exhausted. and the interviewer says, I don't know if you're complimenting Sue Metal or not.
It's like, it makes you sound like you're old. Or old lady.
There's also kind of there's a little bit of a running theme there in Moa's, where like she was asked basically like what was your most memorable show, and she's like, well, the most recent one, I don't remember anything, so Russia. Moscow show. And the interviewer thought this was sort of funny because it is, you know, in fact the last show they had played. And she was also asked about like her most memorable overseas show, and she said, "Oh, well, Glastonbury," and the interviewer remarked, "You know, the most recent one, right?" Yeah. But there was actually, she said, she was asked basically like, what is your, if you had to pick the biggest highlight in the 10-year history, what would it be? And Moametal says right now, and and she she did actually sort of say that's not just essentially because I don't remember anything. It's actually because right now is what my real answer is. But yeah.
Yeah. She doesn't shy away to the fact that she doesn't remember a whole lot. Kindred soul.
Yeah, so what she said here is like, I don't dwell on the past, but seriously, when it comes to BABYMETAL, we really believe in becoming stronger than ever. Or so even though we haven't been able to do anything during the pandemic, we're trying to move forward, and I hope that the audience will focus on the now rather than stick in the past. So in that sense, my answer is still right now.
Mm-hmm. She's so deep.
Yeah, she really is. She is an old soul.
She really is.
Yeah. Something on the Sue side of things. I don't even remember my first show. I know my first show was in Philly in 2016, and it's all a blur. I just remember that I was on Yui's side, and I was kind of disappointed because I really wanted to be on Moa's side. But does anybody remember if Ine was ever performed during the 2016 shows at all?
Tokyo Dome.
Do you mean abroad or?
Yeah.
Abroad? No, I don't think so.
I don't know.
Okay.
Although it's interesting because there was some point in one of these interviews where maybe this is actually what you're getting at.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting at. Yeah.
Okay, go ahead and get at it then.
Because she had said that the way that it was like the way that it's responded in Japan versus in the US, that it seems like Ine is a lot more popular in the US because I guess because of the club atmosphere that it gives off. But I just, like I said, I don't ever remember Ine actually being performed overseas at the US show. I don't remember it at all. I thought that was kind of an interesting point that it was a little bit more popular, and she thought, like I said, she thought it was just because of the club atmosphere and things. And I guess in Japan, it's, she had mentioned that she feels like the Japanese fans focus more on the more metal part of BABYMETAL, whereas in overseas or in the US that we focus more on the pop side of things, I guess. Oh, which kind of brings me into another point of something else she said at the very tail end of the interview, is that she was excited that BABYMETAL could, open up the world of this, and she mentioned J-pop, but she didn't mention anything about like J-metal or anything like that, which is funny because I actually listen to a lot more rock and metal than I do J-pop because of BABYMETAL. So it was like the complete opposite for me. So I don't know what your guys' experience in that regard is as far as BABYMETAL, if they've introduced you to anything outside of more J-pop or anything of that nature.
Oh, I listen to way more stuff because of BABYMETAL than BABYMETAL.
Yeah.
These days.
But I could certainly see it going both ways.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I do too.
They're bridging it, right? So whichever one you're coming from, you're headed to the other one.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah.
So
I mean,
yeah. To the extent that I was coming from somewhere, it would have been from metal, right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
For me, at least.
Okay.
Same.
That makes sense. Yeah, because I did listen to a lot of like pop music and stuff. I did dabble in like some rock things in my high school days for like a tad bit, but then I went kind of back to the pop and electronic music and things. But I always had this kind of back and forth anyways, but now it's more focused on rock and metal. But I still listen to all my pop and electronica and stuff too when I have a chance, but not as often as I used to. Mainly because I am finding a lot more metal music because of BABYMETAL. So
back on the on Ine, so it actually, that did also sort of like catch my attention too, because it, just as you were thinking, I think when you read it, I was thinking, well, wait, when was this? So Sumetal says Ine gets the crowd super hyped up in America. And, the interviewer says, that's surprising. How so? But of course, what I was thinking was, that's surprising. When?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's why I asked, because I was like, I don't honestly remember it ever being performed. Like, I don't.
Yeah. It's possible that they know better than me, but yeah, Sue says this may be because they enjoy the club-like atmosphere. And when I first saw the American audience's response to the song, I thought, oh, they responded to the song in this way. And so She must be thinking of something.
Right.
The chat informs us that setlist.fm says that it was played in Wembley, but that doesn't count as America.
Right. She might have misspoke potentially then. Funny Toss did mention that it could have potentially just been the Fine Bros reaction, because they did do Ine as a reaction, and there was a lot of positive reaction to that. Because I know, like, the two guys from Pentatonics and Markiplier, if guys are familiar with the YouTuber, I know they had like a lot of positive notes on that too. They were just like, yeah, this is awesome, this is great. So I mean, it could have been, it could have been the Fine Bros reaction potentially.
Yeah, I suppose it's possible. I mean, like the translation says, when I first saw the American audience's response to the song, and that could be not in a live show setting, I suppose.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's basically only one other thing I had out of this. This is the interviewer sort of asking about metal fans that dislike BABYMETAL. Said you weren't real metal. They saw you as a gimmick. This is still the case to a lesser extent, says the interviewer. Moametal says, yes, that's true, but I've personally listened to a lot, and I've seen many metal bands, and I guess what I'd want to ask these people is, well, what is your idea of metal? And she says, well, if you ask 100 people, you will get 100 different responses, and the world would be boring if it all fit that one person's idea of metal. So,
right.
Essentially, whatever is what she says.
Yeah.
We know what we're doing, and we are going to continue to do it. And, at least one of those 100 people think is good.
Yeah, it is what it is. I've got like two, well,
Sure.
1, 2, 3. I've got 3 more notes. On Sue's, she had mentioned she would like to see many metal shows if I'm allowed the opportunity. So it's like, has she not gone to any shows outside of the ones that maybe she's just been attending? And it's like, I hope so. I really hope that she has.
I think my reading of that is that's probably putting too much on the word allowed. I imagine what she means is like she wants to see as many metal shows as the opportunity permits, but
right.
Not
and I figure I did take that consideration that maybe it meant that too, but I'm just like, it would be sad if she couldn't. I'm just like, I don't know. So that was one thing. Second thing out of Moa's thing is that she finds, as far as when she was talking about her, dancing and stuff like that, that she finds that Brand New Day is harder to dance to than Homogenei. I can see that being the case mainly if you actually have the energy to do Homogenei, because that is a lot of hopping around and stuff.
But it may not be all that complicated. I think that was the idea.
It's from a dance perspective, it's not complicated at all.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a folk dance. The folks have to be able to do it.
Exactly.
I mean, you have to have the energy to be able to do it. But yeah, in essence, it is actually very easy. Whereas Brand New Day it is a lot more technical. It was kind of interesting, seeing, because I believe Rio was the one who did it at Metal Galaxy.
Yeah.
And it was kind of interesting to see, because you could tell the different styles, like Moa has mentioned before, whereas Moa was doing Brand New Day very kind of straight edge and just getting her stops right and everything, whereas Rio was very flowy, I guess, about it. It just kind of just flowed into another, but she was still stopping where she needed to, but it just seemed very more relaxed, I guess.
I think Rio has more extensive dance training.
She does, yeah.
So that's not that surprising.
Yeah, Moa's just kind of picking up the whole entire thing of trying to open herself up to new things and new dance moves and ways of dancing and stuff that she's not been, subjected to before. Whereas Rio, of course, has been in an idol group for eons.
Well, and she also went to dance school. I mean, after that,
she too. Yeah, but it was kind of neat to see the differences in their styles, though. While the song was being played for the first time, it was kind of cool. So I mean, I can see in that regard why it would be a little bit harder. You just got to have the energy to be able to keep up with the energy of the song in and of itself, because it's a lot.
It's easy to confuse challenge and tiring. Like Homogenei, I'm sure, is tiring, but not very challenging. Tiring. Whereas Brand New Day is probably not very tiring, but very challenging.
Exactly. You're spot on.
Yeah.
That is exact.
Yeah, because she also mentions in that same section of that interview, she describes Road of Resistance as being fast, but not difficult. So it's tiring, but not really, she doesn't really consider it a challenge.
Yeah. It's got simple stuff too. Like it's a simple choreography as well, but it is a lot going on though, in that regard. So.
And the chat had a moment. It had to do with basically sort of asking the extent to which you listen to this music, I guess. So Moametal says basically, I've come to understand its charm. I can't escape from metal now. And the editor-in-chief of Hedoban says, it's great to hear you say that. Mo says, I can't get away from it. I can't escape it. And is asked, do you usually listen to metal? And she says, I do listen to particular songs I like. So, for example, I listen to Bring Me the Horizon normally. Recently, I've been listening to a band with female vocals called Frozen Crown. They were recommended to me by Bring Me the Horizon. And when I listened to their song Never Ending, I thought they were so cool, and the song was really great. And so there's a little bit of the real world intervening in here. So if you wanted to go listen to that, you now have all the information. Bring Me the Horizon recommended to Moametal, Frozen Crown.
Yeah, it's very speed metal-ish, isn't it?
I have this hilarious image in my mind when she mentioned that, of her just quietly sitting on the train going somewhere with her AirPods in, blasting metal. And that image just really makes me laugh.
But they're not AirPods, they're in-ear monitors.
Right, I am. Yes. Sure.
Particular. I got to be very specific on that. The last note that I have kind of makes me just very happy. The interviewer was asking, okay, well, with the pandemic and happening, how did that affect BABYMETAL, that sort of thing. And she goes on and talks about, it was, really difficult because we was dependent on live shows and stuff. But the very last, few things that she says is she's like, I'm really excited. I would like to see A Wall of Death again. I'm just like, yes. Because it is so entertaining from, if you get the opportunity to go to one of their bigger arena shows or just any show that actually has, a balcony seating, I would definitely recommend doing that at least once, whether you are a person or not. Because it is so much fun to just look down at the crowd and just see the wave and the movement of everybody getting pushed back and stuff, and then seeing everyone just kind of get in there and just smash together. I know this sounds so violent, but it's just such a cool visual. And what show was it? It was a recorded show. Was it Big Fox Festival? I don't think it was that one. There was another recorded show where it had
a little more to go on here.
There was 6 or 7 different pits going on at the same exact time. And you see all of them at once just going Wall of Death. It is fantastic. It's awesome. It is so cool. But it's totally different perspective when you're actually in the crowd, because all you feel is all the pushing and shoving is oh my God, I'm getting killed here. What's going on back behind me? But then when you're looking up from above, it's it's a totally different experience. Well, you're not part of that experience, thankfully, in some regards. But it looks really cool from a distance. I don't know. I thought, from being from her stage perspective to being able to see that, it's kind of like sitting in a balcony seeing that. So it just made me excited that she is excited about that too, because I do take joy in knowing when one's coming up, and I'm like, ooh, yay, it's time. Yeah. So
I guess I sort of feel like I don't want to be in one of those though, because it would be I don't want to waste the opportunity. I would rather see what's happening in the show rather than just be bumped around.
Right, and I get that too. At the point where I'm in now, as far as seeing BABYMETAL shows live, I feel like at some point in time I could give that up to participate in one for once.
Right.
But the thing is no offense, but I really don't want to try to do one in America. No desire. I would prefer to do one in Japan because I feel.
I don't mosh in America. I don't mosh anywhere but Japan.
No. I feel like I would probably die if I ever did it at a US show. I would not.
Yeah, the pits here
are brutal. Legitimately.
Yeah, the pits here are too violent. I have no desire to mosh or do anything here.
No.
Like that.
No, definitely not. So, but definitely if I ever get the chance to go back to Japan at any point in time, I have to at least once. So, So yeah, those were the notes that I had from Hedoban.
Look at that. My little recording wheel says it's been an hour, but
yes,
it has.
So since it has reached an hour and we made it through the Hedoban 28 stuff, I think we will postpone then the other things for future episodes. And so I think I'm sure we have by now 2 episodes worth of just similar kind of discussion of these interviews. But as we said before, I will say again, read them anyway. We have not hit everything that's interesting in them. Yeah, but so coming up, we have a couple of things from Hedoban 24. What we have been talking about is Hedoban 28. A little bit earlier, there was Hedoban 24, which was quite extensive. And there is also coming a long BABYMETAL interview there as well. We don't have that yet, but we will soon.
And as always, thank you to Funny Toss and Capable Paramedic for being able to put everything together.
Yeah.
For us.
It's been very useful. And I really like the style of these two, where you can see both the original Japanese and what the translation is, and then there's a little translator's notes for little things that we may not quite understand.
Nuance.
Right.
Yeah. So it's pretty great. But so more to come. At some point we will break in our interview reviews to talk about the live stream and stuff. But I suspect that the interviews will continue beyond that as well. So, and we are hoping to also have at least a couple of guests on here soon, which will also probably break up that stream of reviewing the actual interviews a bit. But
yes.
All right. So then that is it for this episode. You can join us on the BABYMETAL Podcast Discord to continue the conversation. Rating the podcast on whatever platform you listen on will help people find it, so please do that. We'll be back here in about 2 weeks. We hope you'll join us then, and until then, see you.